Hi, I'm John Malice. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Wednesday morning. That's right, we're talking politics again. Two people running for city council in two separate districts that want your vote on election day. Boy, less than a week? What, 6 days and counting? It's amazing. 436 Me TV, option 11 as we get closer to November the 8th.
The Ballad of Andy and Barney. Andy and Barney were lawmen, bravest you ever did see. Warned every crook in the record book to stay out of Mayberry. They were the law.
Yes, they were the law, and they didn't know fear.
The Andy Griffith Show.
I guess to sum it up, you could say there's three reasons why there's so little crime in Mayberry. There's Andy, and there's me, and baby makes three.
Now on Me TV Fresno.
It's no wonder why the city of Fresno and so many Valley businesses choose McHenry Protective and Investigative Services. With over 50 years of experience in public safety and security, McHenry's team of experts will safeguard you, your commercial property, and your next big event. Professional service, marked patrol vehicles, 24-hour dispatch, and friendly, observant, and responsive armed and unarmed guards are just a few of the reasons you should contact McHenry at 559-478-7747 or visit them online at mchenryprotection.com.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the KitchenAid appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Save big with KitchenAid. Right now, get up to a $1,000 prepaid MasterCard when you purchase select KitchenAid appliances. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
All right, we're back here on the program on Connect with Me on Me TV Fresno. I'm so glad that you are here today because we're talking to two candidates who are running for Fresno City Council, one in District 6, one in District 5, right here in Southeast Fresno. But a couple of programming notes, and that is that on Thursday, that would be tomorrow, we've got Henry Perea on the program. And I've looked at my calendar each and every time that I have these candidates on, and I have counted the equal amount of times that Lee Brand and Perea have been on this program. So tomorrow, we even the playing field. Perea will be on for the last time prior to Election Day, and they have been on, I believe, 4 times or 3 times each prior to Election Day. This will be the last time for each candidate as we approach November the 8th. And on Friday, we'll talk to Alex Tavlion. He is the executive editor of CV Observer. That's an online service. It's a I think it's news regarding the Central Valley. And so Alex will be talking about that. We'll also be talking about Measure Q. That is the measure over there in Parlier. If it doesn't pass, they'll have to disband their police department, if you can believe it. All right, you're watching us live on Comcast Channel 375, as usual, Monday through Friday. Comcast Channel 375 is on your dial right now, and 43.6 and 13.1 over the air between 10 and 11 o'clock in the morning. Then the replay at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 13.6 YouTube, 8 o'clock tonight, 4.6 Biz TV. As you're watching the World Series, you can watch us two simultaneously as you have that second TV on hand in your living room or your bedroom, whatever, wherever the TV might be. All right, let's talk about a very sad story. Front page of the Fresno Bee today. This took place a couple of days ago. And it involves 46-year-old Rod Lucas. He was a Fresno County deputy, and a couple of days ago he was accidentally shot and killed by a gun, a backup gun. He was with some other deputies, and they were discussing the safety of their backup weapons, and one of those weapons accidentally went off, shot Lucas in the chest. He was taken to the hospital where he later died. He leaves behind a wife and 4 children. So this happening less than a couple of months after those 2 deputies were shot by that suspect over at the Fresno County Jail. So once again, the Fresno County Sheriff's Department in mourning today. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the family. Here's what Margaret Mims had to say yesterday about this accidental shooting. Incredible tragedy.
Yesterday at about 3:40 p.m., an accidental shooting incident occurred in a sheriff's office building near the Fresno airport. There were 4 people in the office where the incident occurred, including our deceased Deputy Sergeant Rod Lucas. The sergeant and one of the detectives were discussing their equipment, specifically their backup weapons and how they carried them. During this discussion, the detective's weapon discharged. Sergeant Lucas was struck by the bullet in the chest and he dropped to the ground. CPR was immediately administered by those in the office and continued by ambulance personnel, and also continued at the hospital by CRMC personnel. However, Sergeant Lucas succumbed to his injury and he was pronounced deceased. We do not know yet the mechanics of how the weapon discharged, and I do not want to speculate until all interviews and the investigation is complete. So far, we have absolutely no reason to believe this was nothing more than a tragic accidental shooting. The name of the detective involved will not be released at this time. He is a 9-year veteran of the Sheriff's Office. Our deceased deputy is Sergeant Rod Lucas. He's 46 years old. He started with the Sheriff's Office in September of 1996, 20 years as a deputy sheriff and sergeant, and worked in patrol with our chaplaincy program and worked many years of his career as a narcotics detective. He grew up in the community of Tranquility. He's married. He and his wife have 4 children, ages 28, 24, 18, and 12. He also has an 8-year-old grandchild. I spoke with Rod's wife today, and I asked her if she could send a message to the public and to the Sheriff's Office. What would she say? And she said simply, please pray for us. This is the 12th line of duty death that's occurred in the Fresno County Sheriff's Office since our existence in 1856.
So Sheriff Margaret Mims discussing in detail about what happened over there as they were, these detectives were talking about these backup weapons and the safety of them. This thing just accidentally went off, and unfortunately 46-year-old Rod Lucas was shot by accident in the chest. Took him to the hospital. They couldn't save him. He died. As Margaret Mims said, Lucas is the 12th sheriff's deputy to be killed in the line of duty since the inception of the sheriff's office and department took place back in 1856. Our thoughts, our hearts and prayers go out to the Lucas family and, of course, the entire sheriff's department. And even Chief Jerry Dyer weighed in on this and sent his condolences in. Here to talk about this now and many other issues regarding the city of Fresno. I know this is a sheriff's department, involves the county, but is Jeremy Pearce. He is running for city council in District Number 6. He's running against Gary Bredefeld. He has been here many times before. He's a friend of this program's, and you are free to call in 436-MeTV option 11. Jeremy will be here for about 20, maybe 25 minutes. We can maybe convince him to stay until 10:30, 10:35. You're welcome to call in. McHenry Protective Services, our sponsor today. It's no wonder why the city of Fresno and so many Valley businesses choose McHenry Protective and Investigative Services. With over 50 years of experience in public safety and security, McHenry's team of experts will safeguard you, your commercial property, and your next big event. Professional service, marked patrol vehicles, 24-hour dispatch, and friendly, observant, and responsive armed and unarmed guards are just a few of the reasons you should contact McHenry at 559-478-7747 or visit them online at McHenryProtection.com.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Samsung big screen we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start, but you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Time for that upgrade to an HD 3D web-enabled Samsung TV. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Back here on the program, Jeremy Pearce is here. I know we have limited time, but your last appearance before November the 8th. Good to see you, Jeremy.
John, thanks
Always
for
good
having
to
me
see
back.
you. Every time I look at you, I don't know if I'm looking at Elvis or if I'm looking at you. But
You're looking at me today, believe me.
I'm looking at you.
Yeah.
All right. So just a quick reaction on the tragedy. I know it's awful to start a show like this, and I was absolutely stunned that something like this could happen.
Terrible. Tragic. Yes, our prayers go out to the Lucas family, and wow, so sad, so sad. It's been such a tough year for law enforcement in general, and to suffer another loss like this, it's heartbreaking.
Are you a law enforcement guy?
Oh yes, big pro law enforcement person, a lot of law enforcement in my family, many officers, highway patrol, city police, and so forth. And my uncle, he was shot at, and he still has the windshield from his car with the bullet hole through it. And so as a kid, I grew up knowing the danger that our officers are in each and every day.
If you were elected and you were to beat Bredefeld on Tuesday, would you do anything and everything to protect the Fresno Police Department and prevent any of those numbers from dwindling down like we've seen in recent years? Because Lee Brand wants 1,000 officers on the street. So would you do everything possible to try to prevent the police department from being depleted in terms of officers?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, I was the first person in any race, I believe, to mention the 1,000 officers. Mm-hmm. And so that's been the cornerstone of my campaign from day one.
Yeah, what would you do?
To get there?
Yeah, to get there. What would you sacrifice? What would be, in your opinion, on the table or off the table?
Well, I think before any sacrifices have to be looked at, we just set our priorities. The general fund is expanding because the economy is improving, and I want those increased revenues going to public safety first and foremost. And so just a matter of prioritization can help get us there before we have to look at cutting anything. But in any government budget, whether it's a city budget, state, federal, there's waste there, so we'll go through it with a fine-tooth comb.
Number one with you, the money's going to go to police and fire, public safety. Is that right?
Absolutely. Okay. That's the first charge of any elected official at any level, is to keep the people safe, right. And that'll be my top priority.
Do you think that your opponent, Gary Bredefeld, feels the same?
We all support police and fire.
But is it number one with him, do you think, in all in some of the debates that you've been?
You know, I don't think that that's his burning passion in this race.
What is his burning passion?
I think his burning passion is downtown, and I think
not
that's
public safety.
I have to let Gary speak for himself,
yeah.
But just based on the things that he talks about most often, and the reason that he got the mayor's endorsement was his dedication to downtown.
Not going to have a downtown if it's not safe. Got to say that. Caller, go ahead. Short on time today. Quickly, what's your question or comment?
Question to Jeremy. What kind of an impact do you think you will make, as like John was saying, about getting more officers on the street? I think the only way you can do that, money's an issue, but I think there's a lot of personnel that are in office, police department, where they can transfer some of those for street, police officers, and they can probably help their as far as getting money. Well, how would you do it? That's my only question to you.
Yes, we definitely need to put more on the patrol division. We need to be patrolling all of our neighborhoods, parks, businesses. Northeast Fresno, we're not getting the patrols that we would like to see to help be a deterrent to crime and to break-ins in our district, because we're stretched too thin.
Not enough on the street. Not enough patrol officers
on patrol.
On
Yes, on patrol. And that's due to allocation of officers. It's also due to the number of officers. We're stretched thin. I went on a ride-along. We're racing to stabbings and drive-bys, and the break-ins and the prowlers and the vagrants in Northeast Fresno don't rate high enough. Unfortunately, when you have a police department that's stretched that thin, in.
Yeah. Hey, I do want to talk to you about the Dylan Noble shooting. We've talked about this before. Let's roll the videotape. We're not going to show it in its entirety because I don't want to show Dylan being shot again. But here's what the former, or not the former, but the Fresno police auditor, Richard Rasmussen, said in his report that came out in the Fresno Bee just recently. He said he wants the police officers to be held to a higher standard. He wants themselves to look in the mirror and say, look, I got to hold myself to a higher standard. And he also said he wants the Fresno Police Department to de-escalate and put that in as policy, de-escalate any type of situation or confrontations with any potential suspects. And he questions, you know, what happened in this Dylan Noble case. Do you agree with the auditor and his assessment so far? We haven't seen the full report, but I assume at one point we will.
Yes. Well,
Hang on, caller.
I'm not going to second guess any split-second decisions that officers have to make. Obviously, taking a life is the last thing that they want to do. Trust me. And we don't want to see that ever. But there are times when if you do not obey officer commands, something tragic like this can happen. For your sake, for your family's sake, for the officers and their family's sake, please obey officer commands. That right there, above all else, will put a stop to this.
But what about the report? You've seen the report, obviously, in the Fresno Bee, some of the comments that Rasmussen made. Jerry Dyer disputes some of these comments. What's your thought on this?
Well,
are you in favor of the police auditor?
I have mixed feelings, and I mean, improved training can always be instituted and so forth, but the simplest solutions to all manner of problems in society, just look to the easiest answer, and that's usually the correct one. Obey officer commands. Obey officer commands, and that'll go to alleviating a lot of these things. But again, improve training where we can use less than lethal in circumstances where that's appropriate. Absolutely, because loss of life is the absolute last thing we want.
So you kind of are lukewarm on the Fresno police auditor because you don't like people second guessing the police department.
Yes, you know, it's the more cooks in the kitchen oftentimes just makes matters even worse. And so, like I say, I have mixed feelings about it.
So, but do you think some of these incidents ought to be investigated independently from the council or local government?
Yeah, particularly if there are significant question marks. In some cases, in a lot of cases, with the increased body cam footage, because more and more Fresno police officers will have the body cams, the video itself is going to pretty clearly state in most of these cases, and it does time and time again, that officer commands were not obeyed.
Okay, we'll get out of this before anything happens. All right, we'll get out of the Dylan Noble case. I don't want to see that again. Let's take a quick call here and move on to a different topic. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Number one, Jerry Pearce is an absolutely awesome guy. It's a must that we guys get him voted in.
Thank
the whole
you.
thing about the police auditor, we definitely need an independent police auditor due to the fact that they don't answer to anybody. You file with the Internal Affairs, they don't respond to you ever. Again, John, love your show. Jeremy, good luck, brother.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's move on to a different topic. I want to talk about the Somerset Village Apartments. Chris Henry, let's put his picture up on the screen. At one time, oh, maybe he still is, public enemy #1. And yesterday's Fresno Bee, you saw he's got to pay $200,000 in fines because a year ago, Somerset Village Apartments, they had their heat, water cut off, their hot water. Oh, my God. One person, as a matter of fact, died. There were some leaky gas lines over there. He was described as a slumlord. So, the Fresno Bee, by the way, the other day endorsed Henry Perea because they said that Lee Brand, who I know you're supporting, has not done enough to go after slumlords like Chris Henry. And Lee Brand is a property owner himself. He rents out or leases out properties that he owns. He should have done more. That's according to the Fresno Bee. What is your reaction?
Well, bad apples have to be held to account, and yesterday's Fresno Bee showed that they are $200,000 in fines. Lee Brand and myself, we don't want to see people go weeks without.
Is the Bee right? Has he not done enough for
well,
slumlord? That's one of the reasons they say that they didn't endorse him.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot more reasons than that, and a lot more reasons they didn't endorse me, and a lot of reasons why
Right.
they don't endorse very many conservatives
But
in
are they
general.
wrong in their assessment?
Oh, sure, sure. Lee is doing everything that he can. It takes time to put a proper procedures in place. We can't go in barging into people's homes. There's constitutional questions there as far as interior inspections go. We have to do this in a proper way. We know who the bad apples are. We'll hold the bad apples to account. And we saw yesterday with $200,000 in fines, they are being held to account. We won't let people be abused, the most vulnerable in our city. Whether it's not having heat, hot water, what have you, we won't allow that to go on. We know who these people are. We'll go after them. But Lee Brand has no love for slumlords, and so that's absolutely
Will he go
ridiculous.
after him as mayor? Will you go after him as a councilman?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
This is what the Bee said. I don't know if how many people read this about Lee Brand. They said that, he takes command of public policy and yeoman's work, ethic as a two-term Fresno City councilman. He sees a problem, goes after it, and fixes it deep into the weeds, according to the Fresno Bee. However, finishing second to Pearce in the primary, he has failed to do anything meaningful about Fresno's well-documented slumlords and the city's impoverished residents, meaning those that simply live below the poverty line. But you don't see it that way.
No, I don't see it that way. I think it's the standard idea that if you're a Republican or if you're a conservative that you don't care about those folks, and that's absolutely not true. My charge as a Christian, first and foremost, is to make sure that the most vulnerable are taken care of, and I know that Lee Brand feels the same way, but we have to do it right. We have to do it in a legal way, we have to do it in an ethical way, and that takes time.
All right, what about Proposition 64? This is on the ballot that would legalize marijuana. All right, a lot of people feel this is going to pass with no problemo at all. It will become law to use marijuana, recreational use. A lot of people think this is wrong. A lot of people think it's a gateway drug to heroin, cocaine, whatever the case may be. However, even if it does pass, Jeremy, you as a sitting city councilman and the mayor and the rest of the council people have the option and the power to say, you know what, even though it's legal, we're going to ban the cultivation here in the city of Fresno. We're going to ban the use. Would you do that?
I would do everything legal to make sure that recreational marijuana was not a fact of life in Fresno. It is a horrible decision. It's had bad results where it's already been legalized. There were just studies done that showed the effects on the brain stay with you permanently. Mm-hmm. And this is a horrible idea, and it's so sad to see it picking up steam around the country and in California, where it may become a reality soon. I pray it does not.
Okay, so you would if a vote came up in the council and you were there to ban this use of marijuana, even though it's legal, your vote would be yes.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify that.
Yes.
It would be yes.
Yes.
How about medical marijuana? Where do you stand on that?
Medical marijuana, if you have a legitimate reason to have that, absolutely. But there are a lot of flimsy excuses out there. And we basically have, in a lot of respects, recreational use now, just based on those flimsy excuses. So I'd like to see that tightened up to make sure that people aren't abusing that. But it may be a moot point, unfortunately, very soon.
But you're in favor of medical marijuana. If somebody needs it, they go to a doctor, they get a prescription.
Yes.
That type of thing.
Yes.
You're in favor of that, of regulating it, though, and monitoring what happens?
Yes. If a doctor says that that's going to alleviate your suffering, I don't want to come in and second guess that. But again, I think there's a lot of flimsy medical excuses being handed out.
In your opinion, I want to get to one other topic here before we got to go here, and that is, well, actually two more, and that is, there was an article that was written in the Fresno Bee on Sunday, and it was an opinion piece, and it's really it's a terrific piece, and it talks about California and how it's been leaning left for decades after Deukmejian and Pete Wilson, and it says with Proposition 57. 47 we know has created some problems, but Prop 57 on the ballot this year, Prop 62 would repeal the death penalty, and then Prop 64 would legalize recreational marijuana. We already talked about that. And a much more liberal legislature placing Proposition 58 on the ballot to repeal the state's 2-decade-old ban on bilingual education. Are we leaning too far left? And if so, What can the city of Fresno do to combat this? Dan Walters wrote the article, though, a terrific article. It's in the Bee. What's your opinion about that?
Yes, we've been moving very far to the left for years now, and it's sad to see, and a lot of people have fled the state, and conservatives and even middle of the road folks a lot of times feel California isn't my home anymore. I don't even recognize the things coming out of Sacramento anymore as what was here just 20, 30 years ago. And so, yeah, we're lurching to the left, but Fresno is
what can we do about it?
Well, Fresno, this is exactly what we can do about it here is we can elect Lee Brand, mayor, and Jeremy Pearce, Fresno City Councilman in District 6, and have conservative leadership in Fresno, because the Valley's the last bastion of common sense conservatism in this state, and Fresno basically its capital. And if it falls, it's over. It's over. If Henry Perea and Gary Bredefeld get elected on November 8th, you can kiss Fresno goodbye, and you can kiss the last bastion of conservatism in this state goodbye. It's just that simple.
Steve Brandow was here yesterday, and he is a sitting city councilman over in District 2, and I asked him about the baseball stadium. And I asked him, I said, you know what, Perea said he's going to revert back to that $1.5 million a year revenue in rent that they owe the city. I'm talking about the Grizzlies. And Steve Brandow sat here and he said, I dare him to do that. I dare him to do that because the Grizzlies will immediately move out of Fresno. Do you agree or disagree with that statement?
Absolutely. Perea's pledge there, that's just foolish campaign talk. He'll back off of that later.
It is?
I think he'll be forced to, because that's not a tenable situation. That they cannot afford that rent. That team will be gone, and you'll have a stadium full of weeds.
Perea says no. There's other ways to help the Grizzlies. Bring that revenue into the pot, and they'll be able to afford that $1.5 million. What is he talking about when he says that? What other kind of revenue? Where's it coming from?
How would I know? You would think that they had that plan in place when they sold us this terrible deal. Remember all the concerts we were supposed to get? Gary Bredefeld and Henry Perea need to become concert promoters upon election if that's what happens, because that's what they're promising. Well, they promised it already once. It didn't happen. Now they're saying it's going to happen again. It's not going to happen.
Is there a general consensus that the Grizzlies would move if Perea tried to pull that stunt?
Oh, I think the numbers show that it's impossible, and so I think they would have no choice. And let me give you a microcosm. I'm in entertainment, John. These geniuses bought a stage for $300,000 because they thought all these acts were coming and wanted a stage, not knowing that most big acts, A, they don't want to play a stadium, and B, they bring their own stage. So we had no idea what we were doing. Bought a stage for $300,000. It went unused, and we just sold it for $25,000.
Did you buy it, by the way? No, I'm just kidding.
Did I buy the stage? No, I should have. It was a good deal. But that's the kind of activity that we had going on in this whole stadium business. The funding deal fell apart within 4 months, John. 4 months after opening, it fell apart. If I went to a wedding and the marriage fell apart in 4 months, I'd want the gift back.
You would?
Absolutely.
Would you ask for the ring back too?
Well, yeah.
Well, your wife is sitting right over there. I don't know what she thinks about that.
The 4 months has passed already, so she gets to keep it.
The water issue and the problems in Northeast Fresno, do they continue? Reading an article in Fresno Bee not too long ago, just over the weekend, they're testing the water in Virginia. So, what's the latest on the water scandal in Northeast Fresno, which is your district, District 6?
Yes, it's still going on.
Look at that corrosion. Give us the update. So what's the deal here? Is the water bad? Are the pipes bad? Are the pipes causing the water to go bad? Is it a residential problem? Is it a city problem? Does the city bear any responsibility? Are you following all these questions
Absolutely.
here? I mean, one after the other.
Sure. Yes. No, the city bears responsibility.
In what way?
In 1998, when Gary Bredefeld was on the council, the city was issued a report, a warning that said if you do not put these safeguards in place when the treatment plant comes online, you're going to have the exact problems that we're having right now. Those were not put in place.
Are you saying Bredefeld ignored that?
I'm saying Bredefeld should have been aware of that. He says, oh, I knew nothing about it. I didn't see any report. Well, you should have asked. This is the drinking water, the safety of the drinking water of your constituents. And you didn't question because other municipalities had already had trouble with these treatment facilities, we could have looked to that, but Gary was too busy worrying that Mayor Patterson was getting more TV time than he was.
Well, the thing of it is, and he and Patterson got into it apparently over the stadium as well.
That's why Patterson's endorsed me.
Yeah, I know. I mean, the two, I've heard some wild stories, and I can't really repeat them here on the air because I can't verify them, but some really crazy stories about what went on at City Hall between Bredefeld and Patterson. But are you saying that Bredefeld, number one, are you saying that Bredefeld knew about it and ignored it? And number two, the Bredefeld camp could come back and say, well, you know what? Your guy, Lee Brand, he knew about it too because he lives out there in District 6.
Lee Brand knew about a couple of isolated incidents. That's what Lee Brand knew. Jerry Duncan also before him, because it goes Bredefeld, Duncan, Brand. Bredefeld's there at the inception. When the warning comes in that we're going to have these problems if these safeguards are not put in place, what Bredefeld should have done when Duncan came into office is hand that information to him. If he had it, he says he didn't have it, well, he should have had it, and he should have passed it on to Duncan and said, as soon as discolored water complaints come into your office, here's why. They're telling us why. They're telling us what we need to do to fix it.
What are they doing now in Virginia? What are they testing? Are they testing the water, the pipes, what?
They're testing the pipes. They're testing water chemistry to see how that affects the pipes. Because
you're talking about groundwater and surface water. They're testing that.
Yeah, because what happened was there's two issues at hand here. It's the bad pipe. A lot of it came from overseas, bad galvanized pipe, cheap
that's
pipe.
issue one.
That's issue one. Issue two is the city's water chemistry. And
the mixing of groundwater, which that area was so used to using, and then online comes this surface water treatment plant, and now the two waters are mixing together, and it's not a good mix for the galvanized pipes.
Yeah. You have to have your water chemistry just right. You have to have your anti-corrosives just right. And a question that's going to come up, and this is going to be a big question because litigation is coming. Lee Brand's plan of rebates and low interest loans is a good stopgap measure, but what's going to end up happening, this is going to play out in court, and whether it's the suing of the pipe manufacturer or the suing of the city, we're going to find out.
Both.
And one of those questions is going to be, did the city get cheap? Did the city back off of certain things because they wanted to save money? And if that's proven,
you're talking about the
chemicals
saving
it added.
Money,
yes,
in terms of adding chemicals to make the balance right.
Exactly. If that's shown, I'm not saying that it is, but if that's shown that the city got cheap, the city's in a whole lot of trouble.
Yeah, and there's no way for us to know that. Right now.
It'll play out eventually.
All right, I'll give you a minute or two here to look in the camera and tell the viewers why they should vote for you. See that camera in the corner there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Folks, I ask for your vote because I'm one of you, just a regular citizen, fed up with crime, vagrancy, bad roads, water that we can't drink, whatever the case may be, because City Hall doesn't prioritize. City Hall chases after the next shiny bauble, the next boondoggle, and what we're left with are all of these problems. What's the answer to this problem? To go back and get a council member from the past? If we were going to go back and get a council member from the past, we should get a good one. I ask for your vote because I'm going to take your concerns to City Hall. I'm not bought and paid for by the special interests. But I get my donations. I had somebody the other day give me $7 and said, I would have given you all 12 that I had, but I needed $5 for gas. That's the kind of folks that are supporting my campaign. My opponent, 78% from special interests. We'll stay exactly where we are in Fresno, and that's at the bottom. If we keep with these same ideas from these same failed politicians that rotate round and round and round because they love the sound of their own voice, I ask you to vote for a citizen candidate. We'll shake up City Hall. They don't want me there, believe me, because they don't want you there. And I hope that you'll vote for Jeremy Pearce on November 8th. Thank you.
All right. Jeremy, good to see you. Good luck to you on the campaign trail. I
appreciate it, John.
In the remaining days. Boy, less than 6 days and counting now.
It's almost here.
Thanks for coming in.
Thanks a lot.
I appreciate it. Good luck to you. Thanks for being a friend of this show here. 436 MeTV option 11 if you want to call in and weigh in on the program. Our second guest is about to appear here in just a few moments. He's running for council in District number 5. We're going to take a long break. We'll be back in a moment. It's no wonder why the city of Fresno and so many Valley businesses choose McHenry Protective and Investigative Services. With over 50 years of experience in public safety and security, McHenry's team of experts will safeguard you, your commercial property, and your next big event. Professional service, marked patrol vehicles, 24-hour dispatch, and friendly, observant, and responsive armed and unarmed guards are just a few of the reasons you should contact McHenry at 559-478-7747 or visit them online at mchenryprotection.com.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the KitchenAid appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Save big with KitchenAid. Right now, get up to a $1,000 prepaid MasterCard when you purchase select KitchenAid appliances. Get the best selection, price, and service in town without waiting. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
Tune in to Heartland for the best in true country music. Relive vintage specials, one-of-a-kind concerts, and country music's earliest videos. Heartland is the heart of country, the only place where you can find country music, country stars, and country lifestyles 24/7. Heartland, the heart of country.
Now on channel 13.2.
And away we go.
Here's the place that makes you smile. Stick around and stay a while. We're the home of great TV. That's memorable. That's me.
Follow me, sir.
Call them classics, call them the best. Call them favorites, be a guest. Every day there's more to come. Watch and see, there's only one. Me TV.
All you have to do is watch me.
Are you kidding me?
Follow me.
That's memorable. That's me.
That's me.
Me TV.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start. But you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
It's no wonder why the city of Fresno and so many Valley businesses choose McHenry Protective and Investigative Services. With over 50 years of experience in public safety and security, McHenry's team of experts will safeguard you, your commercial property, and your next big event. Professional service, marked patrol vehicles, 24-hour dispatch, and friendly, observant, and responsive armed and unarmed guards are just a few of the reasons you should contact McHenry at 559-478-7747 or visit them online at mchenryprotection.com.
Frigidaire. We introduced the first home freezer, the first pulsator agitator washer, and now we introduce the Frigidaire Orbit Clean dishwasher, designed with a unique wash arm that gives you 4 times more water coverage for a consistently better clean. Frigidaire, over 90 years of legendary innovation.
See the full line of Frigidaire appliances at Ventura TV Electronics and Appliances.
Back here on the program on Connect with Me, we have a second guest here in the studio, and we want to talk to him in just a minute here or two, just about what's going on in District 5, because he is running for City Council, and there are 3 people running for City Council in District number 5, Southeast Fresno, once represented by Sal Quintero. He's still in office until January. Now, who do you consider the favorite? Many consider the favorite Luis Chavez. Let's put his picture up on the screen. There he is. He is on the school board right now. And he is also an assistant to Sal Quintero, a long-time assistant. So some people say, hey, why should I vote for Luis Chavez? This guy's been with Quintero for a long time. Nothing has changed out here in Southeast Fresno. We still have crime. We still have shootings, stabbings, gangs, and drugs in this area. There's a lot of blight, so why not get some new blood in there? Like Jose Barraza. He's another one who is running. He was on our show last week. He is running for council in District number 5. And the other opponent is Tony Gastelum. And there he is right there. His picture will come up in just a moment. He is also running. What are his chances of actually winning the race? Tony Gastelum. He is here live in our studio right now to talk about some of the crime issues that are going on in District number 5 and what his chances are of winning on Election Day. We're less than 6 days out from voting on November the 8th. And good to see you, Tony. Welcome to the program. Connect with me. You got a good, strong handshake. I like that, my friend. All right, so your chances are what?
Well, it's fantastic to be here. Running for office is a lot harder than it looks like on the outside. There's definitely a lot of work to do in order to have any kind of viability. I have what I think is an outstanding set of credentials and background that would let me be of particular service on the council, but I believe it might take several tries before I'm able to get elected.
It doesn't sound like you're giving yourself much of a chance right now then.
Well, I'm working as hard as I can to make sure that I do as well as possible, but given that the incumbent has come out so forcefully to try to get his assistant in to take his place.
Well, there is no incumbent.
Well, the current incumbent,
Are you talking about Sal
Councilmember
Quintero?
Sal
Okay, I thought you were talking
Quintero,
about Chavez, because there is no incumbent running, but in this district race. But what about Quintero?
Well, if people are familiar with the history, Dan Ronquillo said during the recent county supervisor race that Quintero won, that Quintero has been the power behind that seat in that district for over 20 years. And the way he was able to accomplish that in an era of term limits was by switching places, switching desks with his assistant after serving his 8 years, sitting there across the table from Mike Dages for 8 years, and then winning again for another 2 terms.
What's wrong with that?
It's perfectly legal. What's wrong with that is that the people of the district have not had a sufficient choice. If you look at the record of what's happened in the last 20 years in Southeast Fresno, you can see that literally nothing has improved for so many of the residents that it's time that they had another choice.
Well, what would that choice be? You got 3 candidates, and why would that choice be you?
The most unique thing about me and my candidacy is that I'm going to be an independent voice on the city council. One of the issues, one of the problems and motivations for my running is that for so many years, the unions, the public sector employee unions, have been on both sides of the negotiating table when it comes to city contracts. Sal Quintero is an example of somebody who has been somebody that they've funded to get in and who they've continued to fund and basically own as far as
You're talking about
votes.
developers?
I'm talking about public sector employee unions. I'm talking about the people who
such as
go to the city council for approval of their contracts. I'm talking about all the unionized city employees, the police union, the firefighters union, the sanitation workers, all the different employees that have bargaining units with the city. As long as they're able to fund their preferred candidates, then they can count on votes to support their contracts instead of have representatives on the council who are voting for the taxpayers.
It sounds like you're saying that that Quintero and Chavez are bought and paid for. Is that what you're saying?
They're doing everything legally possible to, yes, to deliver for the unions. For a lot of this nation's history, it was completely illegal for any public employees to be involved in any political campaigns. That barely changed under John F. Kennedy at the federal level and under Jerry Brown during his first gubernatorial administration at the state level. Before that, it was a clear principle of American philosophy that public employees should not be allowed to get involved in political campaigns or make contributions. That's a new development, and in the last 30 or 40 years since that time, since that happened, we've seen the effects as those excessively rich contracts have drained the city treasuries across the state and resulted in a much lower level of services for the residents of the district. I'm here to fight that.
So, what are they doing that you don't like?
Well, I can tell you this. The Police Officers Union is a perfect example. They've had an extremely successful track record of building up their salary and benefits, but it comes at the expense of other city employees in other departments. It comes at the expense of the general fund.
Okay, let me ask you this while you mentioned the police department. Are you a pro-police guy?
Absolutely. My father was a police officer. My father was a
You're not
firefighter for the
anti-police
city
then.
of Fresno.
Is public safety number one in your book?
What? public safety is number one for all the residents of the district.
Okay, so how much of the budget would you donate to public safety, police, fire?
You've hit right on the key question. The reason that I'm running is not because the police are not a necessary expense. It's because we need a voice that's going to fight for fair contracts, not just that are fair to the employees who are receiving the salaries and benefits, but also to the residents of the district, the taxpayers who are paying their salaries. That's what's missing, is a balanced approach on negotiating contracts.
Okay, but I never got an answer out of you in terms of how much money would you put towards public safety, police, and fire? Would it be 60%, 70%, 80% of the budget should go toward public safety? What's in your opinion, should happen?
Every department should need to justify its budget every year. I don't believe in automatically increasing last year's budget. I believe that every year the city council should go through a meaningful exercise of understanding exactly what the revenues are going to be, and then making conscious decisions about how much to allocate to each different function. I don't think it should be something just rubber stamped.
Caller, short on time. Go ahead. What's your question?
Tony, don't sell yourself short. I think you'd be a great person to be in, representing the people, because you're soft-spoken. You don't have to have an iron fist to do anything, but you're just kind of giving yourself up before you even get into the contest. And Chavez, that's a different issue, Nothing's guaranteed until the people hear you. And this kind of a program will see what kind of a person you are. And I hope things will change for you. Hey, look at Trump. Nobody thought he had a shot, and look where he's at. He's pretty close. So don't give yourself don't sell yourself short. You're going to do okay.
I appreciate that very much, and I've been extremely encouraged by many voices exactly like yours that have made the sacrifices very worthwhile. And like I said, we're sprinting to the finish. I'm working extremely hard on the assumption that we can pull out a big surprise this November. One of the things that I was trying to refer to earlier is, let me give you another example. In one single check, one single contribution check from one single public sector employee union, one of my opponents received more money, $8,000, than I had put out of my pocket to fund my that was Luis Chavez.
And
that was the firefighters union.
He received $8,000
in one single check. He's received more than that.
All right.
But he,
Anything
in
wrong
one
with
single
that?
check, that's more money than I've put into my whole. I had put into my whole campaign up to that point.
Let me ask you something, because I got to put up some crime stats. We have a full screen of some of the crime stats here in the city of Fresno. It's just for this year. It doesn't break it down into the district, but look at this. All right, homicides, I think there's like 33 now. That's a little bit down from last year, not much, but rape is up, robbery is up, aggravated assault is up, violent crime is up. You heard me say in my little mini monologue here about Southeast Fresno, with all the crime, the shootings, the stabbings, the gang activity, the drugs, it's been like this. This is a decades-old problem. How are you going to fix that? You're not going to have a city, you're not going to have an area that's viable for business if you don't clean this thing up. And how do you do that as a city councilman?
One thing we need is to take a historical perspective. The crime rate across the United States dropped year after year, decade after decade.
I'm asking you about Southeast Fresno and how you're going to clean that up.
They dropped for 100 years, down to a low in the 60s before it started coming up. So all the memory that we have of the crime waves of the 70s, 80s, and 90s was an increase from the lowest point in history in terms of crime rates. In Fresno, the crime rates have mirrored national trends year after year after year.
Yeah, but I'm asking you what you're going to do about it. Here in Fresno, the Southeast Fresno there's blight, there's crime, all up and down Kings Canyon. What can you do about it? It seems like Sal Quintero and some of the rest of the people have ignored this area.
What I'd say is they focused on the wrong problem. They focused on delivering as many benefits as they can to the people who can fund their campaigns.
I still don't know what you're going to do about the crime, though.
That's a very understandable, self-interested approach that they've had. What's different with me is because I'm not beholden to those interests, those unions or those developers, I'm able to analyze the policies impartially and make decisions that are based on the best interests of the neighborhood. The answer to your question, I can tell you the biggest thing that needs to be done, aside from having a taxpayer voice managing the contracts of the city employees and keep putting limits on the tax burden that is borne by the business owners and the residents, the next biggest thing that needs to be done, in particular with the police department, but also with all of the city departments, is to change the culture of City Hall so that it's moved to a customer service footing, so that the police officers in particular, if you're talking about crime, have an understanding that their role is not to be the biggest gang in Southeast Fresno. Their role is not to come rolling in with tanks and guns, with the siege mentality that they understandably have had for so many years. They need to understand that they have a pivotal role in the community as part of the community, that the families that live there, their children, our children, are not their enemy. They need to take an approach of integrating themselves into the community and understanding that we're there to pay their salaries, our children are there to be protected. And if that mental shift, if that shift in hearts and minds on the part of our police officers can happen, then you can see a lot more effectiveness in the
So that's your
results
plan to clean up Southeast Fresno?
Well, if you're talking about crime, the police need to be the first order of business. If you're talking about the built environment, if you're talking about the physical environment of Southeast Fresno, you're absolutely right that there's a huge difference between the quality of infrastructure in South Fresno compared to North Fresno, the amount of amenities that are available in South Fresno compared to North Fresno, and the general level of order and cleanliness in South Fresno compared to North Fresno. The role of the city needs to be, number one, to deliver their services competently. I'm not just talking about street sweeping and sanitation pickups, trash hauling. I'm also talking about the protective services and public safety.
All right, let me ask you quickly, are you in favor of Police Chief Jerry Dyer staying on the job until 2019?
Jerry Dyer is an excellent manager of the police department. I don't think that he has shown an openness to the kinds of changes that need to happen in the police department so that his police department can be integrated. So you wouldn't want him replaced? Into the community.
You would want him replaced?
I think he's done a great job in a very hard position, but I think that there's a need for new leadership. If he demonstrates that he's capable of making the changes that need to be made, I'd absolutely support him continuing. But as it stands now, you don't support him continuing until 2019. If the game plan is to continue business as usual, then I absolutely would not support him to continue. There's too much going on in terms of the Captain Foster issues, in terms of supervision internally in the police department, in terms of their interface with the community and police-involved shootings and police-involved killings, that there needs to be
Deputy Foster on your screen right there.
A top-to-bottom review of what we want our police department to be.
Okay, what about the Dylan Noble shooting? You may have read part of the report that the independent auditor put, or the police auditor put in the paper. The Fresno Bee printed part of it just the other day. They said Rasmussen said, look, you got to use more restraint, and you got to look in the mirror and hold yourself to a higher standard. What do you think about the Dylan Noble shooting overall? And what do you think about a Fresno police auditor? Are you in favor of that? Those are two separate questions.
I'm absolutely in favor of a police auditor. Any police department or any business or any government should not be afraid of having an independent voice auditing their records and performance. That should be an absolute necessity in terms of taxpayer-funded departments, and especially in the case of a police department where the citizens and residents of a community are giving to them incredible authority to be armed and to use lethal force to protect us. The police auditor is a small step in absolutely the right direction. The report that you're talking about, unfortunately, was a voice in the wilderness almost. It it was a great struggle to even get a police auditor position filled. It was a great struggle to get it authorized and then filled. And then now that he's come out with his report, it's been a struggle to get the report heard and implemented.
Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
Yes, with Luis Chavez, who's the board president, but how do you feel about him circumventing school board policies and administrative regulations for Fresno Unified in reference to the naming of the academic building at Hoover High School? He didn't allow any community input, and he just said, well, we're going to name it the Janet Ryan academic building. So do you feel that that circumventing all school district policies, and do you think that might, for political gain, that might transfer over to his being a councilman and saying, well, you know what, in terms of politics, I'll circumvent city policies and so forth in order to get what I want?
I don't know Luis Chavez personally. I've only known him through this campaign. But from what I've seen, he's a very young guy, and his inexperience with life shows all the time.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, he's too young to understand the concerns of families in the district. Even if you look at the Fresno Unified School District.
Well, I got to be honest with you. The concern of families in this district is crime, jobs, business coming in, cleaning up the blight. I haven't heard one candidate, including you, tell me how that's going to get cleaned up.
It's going to get cleaned up by action of the private sector, by residents of the neighborhoods taking ownership of their own communities, and by the city. If you're asking about the city's role, I don't see the city's role as being the lead on developing the quality of life in our neighborhoods. Just the opposite.
Private sector can't come in unless you got public safety. You got to get the drug dealers and the criminals out of this area first, and then the private sector can come in. The private sector cannot clean up that area by removing drug dealers and removing gang members and removing crime. That's the city's job.
That's what I was talking about when I was talking about
right?
the role of the police department in that effort.
Right.
They need to completely change their approach in order to be successful at the part of the preparation that you're talking about. Overall, though, the whole attitude of City Hall needs to change to be a pro-resident, pro-taxpayer,
You got to get the crime out first
pro-consumer
before you do anything.
attitude.
Private business can't come in unless that crime's out of there. They won't come in, and they can't clean it up. But anyway, we got about a minute. Go ahead and look in that camera there and tell people at home why they should vote for Tony Gastelum on Election Day.
Well, I like my colleagues who are also running for this race. I don't know Luis Chavez very well, but I have a lot of respect for Jose Barraza. What I'm asking for is for people to vote for me because I'll be an independent voice who is not funded by special interests who have gotten fat off of contracts with City Hall, whether that's public sector employee unions or connected developers. Those are the people who have owned the council for too long, and I'm running because I think people from the neighborhoods need to step up, make themselves available. I'm an MIT graduate with 20 years of business experience success. I've raised 3 kids, including 2 U.S. Marines. I think all of that experience combines to make me a very, would make me a very powerful advocate for the people of the district on the city council. So
But you agree crime has got to leave first before business comes in? Yes or no?
No, I don't.
What? Give me an example. How much time? Okay, we don't have enough time. All right, I'm sorry. We're going to get cut up. Well, I like that handshake. Way to go. All right, Tony Gastelum, running for City Council District number 5 on Election Day. November the 8th is 6 days and counting. See you back here tomorrow with Henry Perea running for mayor. Have a good day, everybody. Oh, no.
If you have a need to promote your business or event, please consider MeTV Fresno for your next campaign. MeTV reaches over 100,000 of your potential customers in the Fresno area every single week. Plus, you can rest assured that your commercial is running in the greatest family-friendly programs of all time. MeTV Fresno delivers a strong, loyal audience ready to buy, and your campaign will cost a fraction of what you're paying for your advertising now. Call me today to find out how affordable MeTV is at 905-1925.
It's no wonder why the city of Fresno and so many Valley businesses choose McHenry Protective and Investigative Services. With over 50 years of experience in public safety and security, McHenry's team of experts will safeguard you, your commercial property, and your next big event. Professional service, marked patrol vehicles, 24-hour dispatch, and friendly,